History remembers him as the father of sociology, but I remember him simply as Auguste. My name is Clotilde Vaux. I am usually remembered as the woman who inspired his later philosophy, and many have also called me the love of his life. Although our relationship remained one of deep admiration, the bond we shared changed him forever. When people speak of Auguste Comte, they speak of theories, books, and the birth of sociology. But before he became one of history's greatest thinkers, he was a man searching for answers in a world filled with uncertainty. Auguste was born in 1798 in Montpellier, France, at a time when the country was still recovering from the French Revolution. He watched the society struggle with political unrest, changing beliefs, and social disorder. While studying at the École Polytechnique in Paris, he became convinced that the society needed something more than just opinions. It needed understanding based on evidence. He believed that if science could explain nature, then it could also explain human society. And this idea led him to introduce a new field of study which he called sociology. That is why he is remembered as the father of sociology. One of Auguste's greatest ideas was positivism. He believed that knowledge should come from observation, facts, and scientific investigation rather than superstitions or guesswork. To him, society could be studied just as carefully as biology or physics. He also explained how societies develop through his famous law of three stages. First comes the theological stage, where people explain everything through religion. Then, the metaphysical stage, where philosophical ideas replace religious explanations. And finally comes the positive stage, where science and observation become the basis of knowledge. He believed that every society moved through these stages as it progresses. His ideas were published in important books like The Course of Positive Philosophy, where he introduced positivism and sociology, and A General View of Positivism, where he explained how science could help build a more organized society. When I met him, I saw more than just a philosopher. I saw a man who cared deeply about humanity. After my death, his thinking changed. He realized that science alone could never unite people. Society also needed kindness, morality, and compassion. And this belief inspired his famous motto: love as the principle, order as the basis, and progress as the goal. And that is how I remember Auguste, not only as the father of sociology, but as a man who believed that understanding society begins with knowledge but survives through humanity.
I am society. Long before humans tried to understand me, I was already changing. I have watched villages become cities, kingdoms become nations, and simple communities become complex civilizations. Many people observed these changes, but one man believed I could be understood the same way we understand living organisms. His name was Herbert Spencer. Herbert Spencer was born on 27th April 1820 in Derby, England during the Industrial Revolution. Unlike many scholars of his time, he was mostly self educated and worked as a railway engineer before becoming a philosopher and sociologist. Watching factories, cities, and industries grow inspired him to think about how societies change over time. To Spencer, I was never still. I was always growing, adapting, and becoming more complex. He believed that societies evolve just as living organisms do. Small, simple communities gradually develop into large, organized societies with different institutions performing different roles. This idea became known as the organic analogy. Spencer compared society to the human body, just as the heart, brain, and lungs each perform different functions while working together. Institutions like the family, education, the economy, and government all play different roles in keeping society stable. He also introduced the phrase survival of the fittest. Spencer believed that people and societies able to adapt to changing conditions were more likely to succeed. Although this idea later became controversial because it was used to justify inequality, Spencer originally used it to explain social evolution and adaptation. His major works include Social Statics, the study of sociology, and the principle of sociology, where he explored how societies develop and how institutions function together. I continue to change every day. New technologies appear, cultures evolve, and societies become more connected than ever before. Herbert Spencer believed that change was natural, that growth, adaptation, and evolution are part of my journey. Whether people agree with all his ideas or not, he gave the world a new way of understanding me, not as something fixed, but as something living, changing, and constantly evolving.